Hello and welcome back to the Beyond Resistance podcast. This is a special edition since our podcast is about community care and building community and especially building blue communities in red areas. We're trying something new, which is when there's something really important that happens in the news, we pull together a community of folks to talk about it, not only the local impact, but also the national and worldwide impact. And so I'm Sarah Schulz.
And I'm Jennifer Austin.
And today we're joined by some friends and fellow rebel-rousers, Kelly Taylor and Laura Bell Phillips, good friends of ours, and also just sisters in the movement that we do locally and statewide and everywhere. And so today the news is heavy. We hear that there was an incident in Minneapolis where I don't know how to describe this person. She was a citizen who was engaged in some resistance type activities related to ICE activity in Minneapolis, and through an altercation of which there is clear video. Sadly, she was shot and killed by ICE. This woman was a U.S. citizen who had every right to be on the street and every right to voice her opinion about what's going on with the government in our country. And so the reaction is just starting to happen. It's going to be strong everywhere. And so we wanted to just pull folks together and talk about that. We may be joined by other friends and colleagues throughout this conversation, but Jennifer, Kelly, and Laura, how are you feeling today about what's going on?
So I laid down, it was one of those, I'm going to lay down for 10 minutes and woke up 2 hours later situations. And, I'm checking messages and I just see our chat blowing up. Go check Facebook, go check news sources. And human nature is the first thing I want to say is I'm shocked, but I'm really fucking not. But the fact that it happened in Minneapolis is kind of gives me pause. That's where the George Floyd riots started, and those were so impactful and so scary and so dramatic, and ended with less loss of life than the potential was there for. And we're very fortunate for that. But this time, the perpetrators weren't just cops. They were cops who are barely trained and are funded better than the militaries of some small countries. And it's
some big countries.
What?
It's better than some big countries.
Better than some big countries, right? And it's a group that has shown that they just give fewer fucks than cops normally do, and that the rule of law is just non-existent. And so it's really, the last 30 minutes have been really intense in my mind, because I come from more of a street activism background. Mm-hmm. And so my first thinking is I need to contact some of my national activist friends and find out what's the plan? How much is this going to be? Is there already a national plan formulating? I know that there's a candlelight vigil tonight in Minneapolis. And I am just hoping beyond hope that it stays peaceful.
Yeah, sorry, I keep looking at my phone. I apologize, everybody, but Griffin's sending updates, so I'm just kind of checking that. Doesn't look Jacob was going to try to join us, but he's got some other stuff going on. Griffin says that it looks like Walls is called in the Minnesota National Guard to specifically protect the citizens from ICE.
That's outrageous.
It's outrageous, but go Walls.
Yeah, I
And
mean, thank
Yeah.
God this happened in a state that has a governor willing to do that
it's
kind of
not
action.
frickin' Arkansas
Yeah.
with, my hose beast of a former governor. But can we take a slight detour? And I am so mad that Walls feels like he can't run for third term.
Right.
I don't know his actual reasoning, but I know it is part of this
Based
bullshit.
on the online gossip, which of course I have no idea how accurate any of this is, it sounds like he almost had to be talked into running for a third term to begin with.
Okay.
So, I think for him, it was maybe they're making so many death threats to me, my wife, and my kids that this is just not worth it. And I don't think we've seen the last of him. Just
No.
because he takes a step back right now, I mean, it sucks. It's absolutely horrible. And it's just another demonstration of what this regime is doing to this country. But I don't feel like we've lost him, put it that
Okay,
way.
good. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Sorry to
No
detour.
worries. Kelly,
think
I want to
it's
hear what
all
you
so
have to
tied
say.
together.
Like, what are you thinking?
So when I watched that video, like this is something I felt like this was an event that any one of us, like any of the four of us, certainly on this call, but all of our friends could have been that woman because Laura and I have jumped in a car to do rapid response when we found out that something was happening in a neighborhood. That's just the kind of people we are. And the woman clearly was trying to maneuver around the ICE agents and get away. I'm so furious that this happened to someone that it was clearly just there. She's being called an observer. I don't know if that's like a legal term or if she was there representing any kind of group, but she was there as a witness, like all of us have the right to be. And she was trying to leave the scene and was murdered by an ICE agent. And I've seen the president's tweet in response. He says that based on the attached video, the ICE agent was badly injured and he's surprised that he survived and that he's in the hospital. Nowhere else have I seen any kind of evidence that any ICE agent was injured in this situation. And I feel like I really hope that they don't find a way to spin this so that people actually believe him, but that's a clear lie. And we need to shout it from the rooftops at this point. The president is lying to us, not just about this situation, but about things every single day. We can't trust a word that comes out of that man's mouth. And I hope that this is enough to wake people up so that they can see that and the MAGA blinders come off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to like give a quick description for people in case you haven't seen the video. I'll try to put some things in the show notes that can link to it. But from the video that I saw, you see this pickup truck pull up and there's like a Bronco or I don't know, like some kind of SUV trying to leave, and these ICE agents jump out of the car and several of them kind of walk towards this woman's car. One aggressively, like he gets up there and he's ripping on her door. So she must have felt threatened. And then, like, she tries to leave and he shoots her and, her car careens off and runs into another car. And as far as like any one of those officers that were involved in that incident, all of them were standing there and walking. Like in the end of that video, you see that every single one of them was perfectly fine. Now, the one caveat I do want to say, just because, we live in the digital age where we don't always know everything that has happened, we have no idea if anything happened before that. If they approached her car because there was something else that had happened, I don't necessarily believe that that's the case, but I do want to throw that out there that we need to be ready to know other information and not assume that this clip of a video is all there is.
I feel like if there was evidence of that it would be out there by now, that we'd be able to get our eyes on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of them might have stubbed their toe.
Yeah.
trying
Right.
to scramble to shoot her. I saw somewhere she was shot multiple times in the head.
She was-
Like, I think maybe that's a little
You
excessive.
can hear the gunshots. It's like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe take out a tire. I'm not a paramilitary goon, but I feel like there may be other ways.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who looks at that video will know that the aggressors were the ICE agents.
Yeah.
That all they had to do if they felt even slightly threatened by this woman in her SUV was to take 2 steps back. Literally, there's
Let her
no
leave.
it's the way that
yeah.
that ICE agent acted was so disproportionate to what was going on with that woman and whoever else was in that car. And it's indicative of, Laura, like what you were saying, these are agents that have been like deputized to roam the streets and be aggressive,
With
essentially.
zero training.
With no
With
training.
so little training.
I know.
That is the real key here.
I know.
Like you're gonna get trained police officers who make bad decisions, but I want to believe that the majority of them are trained not to react in such a way. But when you have that many people that are brought onto this goon squad and not trained well, you're going to have accident after accident. And I say accident, but it's not an accident.
It's not. It
No. And regardless, right? So you have officers on the street. They are governed by a rule of law that has to have certain things in place for them to like open somebody's car or touch somebody or arrest them. And
if they
these ICE
violate-
agents don't have this rule of
No.
law. They don't appear to be governed by very much at all. They're able to, and they're people allow them to just scoop people off the streets regardless of whether or not there's any proof of any illegality going on, let alone their immigration status, mostly just because they have black or brown skin, but also just because they're annoyed by them. And this woman has every right to be in her car on a street in America, shout whatever she wants to shout at whomever she wants to shout at. And she should not expect her car to be touched by anyone, let alone be shot in the face by an ICE agent. It's just outrageous. And Kelly, I'm with you. Like where my heart is like, when I saw that video, I was like, yeah, this is how I could go too. Like I could totally see that happening. Absolutely. If there were the same kind of activity going on in our area. Then there may be.
Yeah.
And
At some of the
even if
notes-
she was, I didn't see a lot of traffic, but even if she was obstructing traffic,
Yeah.
the punishment for that is not death.
Exactly.
And it's a residential
Exactly.
street. It was not a main thoroughfare.
Yeah.
Right. And the idea that we've gotten to a point where I'm not saying the reaction is kind of like, again? But I mean, my God, we were having these paramilitary goons. I feel like we need to have a shortened phrase for that.
Trump's Gestapo. That's not any shorter.
Gestapo,
So.
Yeah.
exactly.
American
Repelled
Gestapo.
from a Black Hawk helicopter in the middle of frickin' Chicago
Yeah.
to evacuate an entire apartment building. And people's reaction was, oh, that's sad.
And
Yeah.
it turned out there were no like lasting arrests for that, was
Yeah.
it? There were
No.
no
Yeah.
charges filed.
All that money spent on that and the terror of that community,
Yes.
and it was for nothing.
Children traumatized. Children literally ripped out of their beds in their underwear and put out on the street.
Not nothing. They got a really great TikTok video.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
They-
right.
They got more propaganda to attract more ICE agents who think it'll be cool to rappel out of a helicopter and terrorize children.
Yeah.
So how do we think this is going to affect, taking away a national response? What do you think the response state and local, or state, regional, and local could and should be?
Are you talking about are you talking about like protests? Or are you talking about Like, how should Gretchen Whitmer act if ICE is sent here? That kind of thing. What do you mean?
No, I think I'm thinking more reaction. I think my brain is still going back to the George Floyd riots and the protests that came up after that. Like, what do you guys see happening? Like, I wasn't in the state or in the area during the 2020 riots. So I know what happened back home, but what do you feel like the outrage was then, and why, and how do you think that might translate to a situation like this?
But it certainly wasn't riots here. We had.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know.
Right.
I don't want to criticize you, but I've never used that word. I know that there were riots.
No,
and
I
know
saying,
that
like,
that
riots
did
that were
happen.
in other parts of the country,
Yes.
not here.
Yeah, I know.
You guys had just
we've just always called them protests.
So. Right.
So when that happened, we had a tiny little bad axe. We had 350 people come out.
Wow.
So I think that this, if there, I pray that there is really great video and somehow we are able to see this from lots of different angles, and that it's really clear that that none of those ICE agents were in any kind of harm's way, so that we can, one, prove that the president's a liar again and again. We have to do that, but so that's clear, and that there's a rallying point, like so that we can see that and say this was wrong. Like that it's so clearly wrong that even people who are in the MAGA cult can look at it and say that shouldn't happen in the United States.
Yeah. And here in Midland, Laura, since you weren't living here at the time, we had the biggest demonstration ever for Black Lives Matter and George Floyd. Now, it wasn't like impromptu. It wasn't like we kind of organically, dropped our phones and hit the streets. It was planned. There were, plans and speakers, and I think it was after a couple of other big demonstrations in the country, but close to that time frame. And I think it was definitely over 2,000 people. And we did take the streets then, mostly because it was so many folks, there's no way we could fit on the sidewalks. So that, I mean, as far as a galvanizing moment, like a flashpoint, George Floyd was one of them. Maybe this is another one.
Yeah, that's what my spidey sense is saying. I could be wrong, but
yeah,
I feel like it.
And that's kind of where I'm at with, I mean, we all talk every day. We're all organizers here for various different things. And we're exhausted. And, we haven't had a big protest here since the last No Kings. There've been some smaller ones, I think. And that's kind of where I was like, oh my gosh, we should do something. What do we do? Let's talk in our group. And then we immediately decided to get on here. But yeah, that's where I was like, should we just say we're doing something tomorrow? Or should this be, no, we need to plan and take the time, or I don't know. What I'm not sure what we should do.
And I bet that this conversation is happening across the country.
Yes.
Groups like ours and communities like ours, for sure. Hot off the presses. So Jacob, or our friend, Griffin, is kind of posting as we're talking. Apparently, the federal agents blocked a man identifying himself as a doctor from reaching the woman who was killed by ICE, and that there's a video of that. And then a man identified himself as a physician, and he tells ICE that someone needs to stop the bleeding. When he decides to intervene himself, 40 seconds later, ICE pulls their guns on him, threatening to shoot him too if he doesn't back the fuck up.
What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with them?
That doctor was clearly not a threat to ICE.
Right.
Like, why would you even if this person, the woman, was a threat, which she was not,
Wasn't.
even if had she been a threat, why would you stand there and let her bleed out if you've got a doctor? And shouldn't these guys have been trained in basic, first aid? I mean, my 17-year-old son, had he been present at that sort of thing, would have known what to do and jumped in and done it. And like to have these guys just be like, meh, let's just stand around and watch her bleed. I just cannot even fathom that.
And I hate to say this, but like I feel like I know the profile of an ICE agent. Do you know what I mean? Like I know the mostly men that are attracted to a job like that. They're full of
bullies,
anger, and they're bullies, and they're self-aggrandizing, and they like to have, show off their guns and show off their power. And I can write the script in my head. Like I can craft this character.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that is who they're recruiting. Like that's the profile of the person that they're recruiting. Yeah. And it's the type of person that's attracted to this kind of job. You get to hit American streets with a gun on your belt and just like be a badass. And there's no regulation.
Right. All the power that you've ever wanted.
Yep.
No consequences.
And it's Biff from Back to the Future. That's
yes,
that's who it is.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they like Donald Trump because they see him as themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you're, Joel, a 22-year-old from Dallas who wasn't stable enough to get into the military, I'm just typecasting here, but
sorry, Joel 22 from Dallas, if that's you. We don't actually mean you.
We don't actually. But
Chad
from
Dallas.
It's that idea that, I'm better. I am so much more than I am in my own brain. Let's give him a gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like George Floyd's murderer. We all saw that video, and like the look on his face when he was murdering George Floyd. Like that's who we're talking about. And there times thousands that are ICE agents.
They're a blinding racist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's for sure a profile, and they have data that demonstrates that police officers, and I'm sorry to be ragging on, I know some of you don't care, but like I'm sorry to be ragging on police officers because I know there's great ones out there. Like I know some in my life, and I don't want to criticize them, but data has shown that there are more instances of domestic violence and child abuse from active police officers. Now you could say that's from the trauma of the job, or it could be, the mental personality of a person who tends to want to go into that field. But there is an issue there, whatever the cause is.
Someone who is attracted to a position of authority is going to have authoritarian tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the training reins that in.
That's right. That's right.
The training keeps you from shooting a woman who doesn't deserve to be shot just because she's disobeying your commands.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm not going to say a perfect world, what do you think our reaction here should be?
I think we should have some kind of demonstration.
Yeah, and organize. I think we should give it a couple of days so that people can have the time to process it, so that we have time to, contact our local police to make sure none of us get. Our local police are great, but we still want to let them know that we're planning on being in the streets to make it safe for everybody. Because frankly, we have more training, I think, than the ICE agents do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've all had de-escalation. Well, okay, I haven't totally had the de-escalation training. I've read some of the brochures, but some of the rest of you have actually had the training.
Well, I mean,
you're on this stage. We're the ones who tell people to put the sticks down.
Yeah, some kind of demonstration. I too think because we also have to know that folks like us hear this news first, probably.
Mm-hmm.
and we have more time to like get all the videos and digest all the things. And also we want the folks who are in our larger community to have the time that they need to be able to have the similar exposure to that. So if we were to say, 9 a.m. tomorrow, we're having a demonstration, we probably wouldn't have enough people who have been made enough aware of it. It's also important, I think, and we do this really well here, is to, when we figure out what's going on across the country, and we can like plug into national efforts where possible. I don't think that's required, but it's very powerful when you're doing something locally and you know that that same thing is happening across the country. And we have some very amazing groups like Indivisible and the Women's March groups and the 501 or whatever that is.
5051, yeah.
Which fives in a bunch of ones. So, and I'm sure that the same conversation is happening in those larger national groups too. So I think it would be a good idea for us to kind of like take a bit of a beat to like figure out what's going on nationally to see what makes the most sense locally.
Yeah. And I also think, maybe bigger cities are used to sort of the impromptu take to the streets, get out there right away kind of a thing. That's not Midland. And you would have even people that knew what happened might be concerned about going out and demonstrating without feeling like their organizers had planned it to ensure their safety.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there, if you're in a bigger area or you're in an area where people just jump off the couch and run out in the streets, I love that for you. Please don't think harshly of us because we're Midwestern planners, but that's how we are. And
and I'm in New York City right now, so I'll be out on the streets tonight, and I'm literally in Midtown, right next to Times Square, and so if there is a demonstration, that's where it will be. So I'll let y'all know what goes down in New York tonight. All right. Speaking of tonight and all the things, I guess we probably should wrap up this conversation, but I just really appreciate pulling us all together and everyone being available.
Thank you for giving us, Kelly and I, an opportunity to just kind of get all this out of our brains.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming at like literally a moment's notice.
It's so true. But also, Jennifer and I have been talking about community care a lot and like what it takes to just think. We talk about self-care so much, which is critical, but like there's this really important other side of that, which is community care. And it's all about like creating spaces that people need to gather, and like small spaces like this, just to kind of talk things out. Because another thing we've talked about on this pod a lot is that momentum dies when you have a loneliness, right? And so connection is so important. So really appreciate processing out loud, literally hours since this incident happened. And sadly, I think we'll have more opportunities to have special editions of the pod for these kinds of reasons. But appreciate you both for joining us today.
Thank you. I'll talk to you
Thanks
soon.
for coming, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You can listen to the Beyond Resistance podcast on all major platforms. Leave us a review to boost this episode and help us reach more blue dots and red seas. Follow us on social media and like, share, comment to increase our reach. Subscribe to our Patreon and gain access to our private Discord channel and make monetary donations of support through Venmo. You can find all of this and more at beyondresistancepod.com. Beyond Resistance is a Beyond Resistance LLC production. Producers Jennifer Austin and Sarah Schulz. Editing Jennifer Austin. Theme song We Run the Room by Shadow Kitten.